Welcome to Betrayal Recovery Radio, the official podcast of APSATS, the Association of Partners of Sex Addict Trauma Specialists, hosted by Dr. Jake Porter. APSATS is a nonprofit organization providing professional training and compassionate support to partners affected by problematic sexual behavior and betrayal trauma. In each episode, Dr. Jake guides a conversation of enlightening insights and practical tools to empower those affected by sex addiction and betrayal trauma to use their voices and live their values. The mission of Betrayal Recovery Radio is to offer hope to those in need of healing and growth to those moving through grief. And now, here's your host, Dr. Jake Porter.
Welcome to Betrayal Recovery Radio. I am your host, Dr. Jake Porter, and today we're going to continue a conversation that we started in our last episode, a conversation on the subject of relational abuse in situations of chronic hidden betrayal. Now, listen, if you haven't heard the first part of our episode, I want to encourage you to go ahead and hit pause on this episode, go back and find the first portion, then you can continue on. That way you're not coming in right in the middle of it. My conversation partners today are Pam Blizzard and Steph Farnsworth. Pam is a trained recovering spouse, certified coach, educator, and writer. She's trained in the APSATS model. She leads recoveredpeace.com, and she works with me as the director of couples care at my Choose Connection Academy. Steph is also on the Choose Connection Academy team. She is a betrayal trauma coach with 18 years of personal experience, trained in the APSATS model. Their full bios are in the intro to the first portion of this conversation in the previous episode. Before we turn to the second part of that conversation, I do want to remind you of a couple of important events coming up that you may not want to miss. On December the 6th, Bill Herring through APSATS is offering a workshop called Applying the Problematic Sexual Behavior Framework to Chronic Sexual Betrayal. That's December 6th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. You can learn more at apsats.org, apsats.org. And next, the following month, January 6th through the 9th, 2025, APSATS will be offering its foundational cornerstone training, the multidimensional partner trauma model training, live via Zoom. That's a 4-day training. It is a wonderful training if you work with or want to work with this population and this issue of chronic betrayal. I cannot recommend it highly enough. You can learn more about that also at apsats.org. One additional announcement I want to make to you is that, in case you didn't hear it in my last episode, I've recently released a book, Breaking Barriers, Building Bridges, the couple-centered recovery model to connection, healing. I don't remember the long subtitle, something about healing after betrayal. And I'm giving it away for free. So if you go to my website, drjakeporter.com/breaking barriers, you can sign up to have your free copy emailed to you, and you can get an introduction to what I mean when I talk about couple-centered recovery. All right. I am eager to let you hear the continuation of my conversation with Steph and Pam as we talk about this important conversation of relational abuse. You know, I want to do a quick little, like, in my mind, a little detour, because I'm aware that while we're primarily speaking to betrayed partners, there are going to be betraying partners or addicted partners who are listening to this episode and listening to this conversation. And I want to this kind of feels like going backwards in the conversation, but I just think it would be really important. Sometimes recovering addicts or folks who have been on the betraying end of this, they stop the acting out behavior and they don't understand why that's not enough. Mm-hmm. And they don't understand why being 20 minutes late is getting the reaction it's getting from their wives, or why the fact that they didn't say that, Sally was in the meeting at lunch today, or those sorts of things. In their mind, it's like that is totally disconnected from the acting out behaviors. But it's this double abuse thing. It's the betrayal, but it's everything designed to hide and perpetuate the betrayal. And this is about developing like some perspective. So betraying partners, this is to help you develop some appreciation for the perspective and experience of your betrayed partner, to have some empathy there. What would y'all say to those folks listening on that end of the equation?
I have faith in you.
Oh, thank you, Pam. That's why I love you.
I have faith in you. I have a heart. After watching my husband go through so many iterations of trying to get help and not getting the right help, that I know that the desire is there. And I would say that from the betrayed's perspective, it is, how do I put this? Let me try to find the words for it. It is more behavior that doesn't include me in your decision making, that doesn't take into account, what is my wife going to think about this? How will this affect my wife? And would she want to know? And can I go ahead and trust her to have this information and process it on, in her own way, and ask me for help if she needs that? It becomes symbolic of the betraying behavior, where I also didn't have a say. I wasn't in your mind for whatever reason, whether it was compartmentalization or whatever we want to call that. I didn't get a say. I wasn't part of your world. And I want you to be part of my world. I want to be part of your world. I don't want us to have two separate lives, really. I want our lives to intertwine. Now, not 100% of the time. I don't want to be first on your brain all the time. That's exhausting. And that's boring, right? I don't want you to be on my brain all the time, husband. That's boring and exhausting. But when it comes to the important stuff that's important to my decision making in the relationship, how I decide how to show up, include me. Just, be mindful that I exist. I don't know how else to say it. Steph, what would you
Steph.
say?
I absolutely love that. And I just want to remind betraying partners that you took away our choice. You took away my right to choose whether I wanted to be in this relationship with you or not, based on your behaviors. So when it's time to heal and recover and start anew, I want to have a choice. I want you to give me that option. I want to be included, like Pam was saying. And something that often comes to mind, that when I'm working with betrayed women, I wish I could drive into their partner's brains, is this metaphor. So I had a mole removed from my back. It was a fairly big sized mole. The doctor didn't know what they were doing. They thought they had it under control. I got the stitches out a week-ish later, and it was a gaping hole. So that's kind of my metaphor for just stopping the behaviors, is removing a mole out of your skin. And then it's not just, there are more things that we need to do. I had to lay on a table at an urgent care. It was Thanksgiving night that I noticed that it opened up, because I'd got the stitches removed the day before. And for like 2 hours, while this doctor had to reopen my healing wound, but it was a hole. It was a hole in my back, and it was going to heal really awfully. And so that's my metaphor. You can't just remove the bad behavior. There are professionals, like I could have used a plastic surgeon, probably, not just a doctor who thought she could just stitch it up and have this gaping hole inside of me. So, yeah. There's more to it.
Can I jump on a word that you said? Anew. The old relationship, we don't want that. We don't want the old not calling before coming home late. We don't want that. Because those little things may have been little annoyances and little hurts. But if you do something that hurts over and over again, it becomes harm. And
Say that again. Say that again.
If you do something that's on the end of the hurt spectrum, it may hurt one time, like, okay, I can get over that, no big deal. But if you do that over and over again, it becomes harm. And something that may have hurt a little bit in the past is going to be harmful going forward, because we are looking for the new man. We're looking for this new man to emerge, this you finding yourself. I love how Jake says you don't do recovery, you do discovery. We want to discover that new man too. And so that old husband behavior that happened all throughout the history that was either a minor annoyance is now really painful. It's a painful reminder of the hurt that is becoming harmful. So please do something different. Do something new and different for us, please.
Yeah, thank you. So y'all have mentioned some things here and there in answer to this question, but I want to, for our listeners, have it all put together for them. How can betrayed partners begin to reclaim their sense of reality and autonomy and empowerment in a relationship? And I think we probably need to divide this into two answers. One where, hey, that betraying partner is on board, doing good recovery, like wanting to be a part of the healing process for you in the relationship because they're engaged in their own healing and recovery process as well. And then maybe there's a different answer for those partners who, aren't seeing those changes from the one who betrayed them.
I would say, let me get my wheel. Validate your feelings. Journal. Oh yeah, see?
There we
Laminator, our best recovery tool, laminator tool. You've got to validate your own feelings. And journaling, for a couple of reasons, because we do get confused. It is confusing to have those breaks with the person you're with. You go to a place of confusion and what? So to be able to journal is a really good recovery skill anyway. And I'm sure Jake would speak to that.
Absolutely.
And validating your feelings, your own feelings, being able to say, I feel sad. I feel confused. I feel surprised and shocked. I feel anger, to validate that and to speak it and to say, and I love the nonviolent communication method. When you came home late for dinner on Tuesday at 7 p.m., and didn't call first, I felt sad. I felt angry. I felt frustrated. I felt exhausted. And, just to be able to speak that, I think the betraying partner deserves to hear that. They deserve, don't keep it to yourself. Let them know and validate yourself. It's more important for you to hear yourself saying it than it is for it to land with your partner. It's both are important, but it's more important for you to validate yourself and keep making those requests. Say, would you consider doing a little bit more to remember to call me, right? If not, I'm going to eat, and then whatever you have to do to take care of yourself. I don't like the word consequence, because this is the consequence of a boundary breaking, right? That's a natural consequence, is the feelings. How you respond to it with self-care. What do you need to do to take care of yourself in those situations where that's happening? I'm going to respond by eating dinner without you. And not, maybe we'll save some for you. Maybe we won't. Maybe you're going to be on your own for dinner, because that's what I need to do to take care of myself.
Yeah. Thank you. Steph, what would you add?
echo, yes, all of those things, Pam, and a group, a healthy group. I could not have done that work of validating my own reality, validating my own feelings, validating my own experiences without a group, because the ongoing protective mechanisms, the gaslighting, the shame, all the things that was keeping me confused, and doubting my own reality. I could not have, I could not have validated myself without other women saying, of course you feel that way. It makes sense that you feel that way. You're experiencing this, and we've been there too in one way or another, and we get it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, I so agree with everything y'all just said there. Let's say there's a betrayed partner out there listening to this and just thinking, but is it really possible? Like, is it really possible for me to, if I choose to stay in this relationship, for this person who betrayed me, can they actually learn and get this stuff? Like, is that possible? And is it possible for me to feel safe in this relationship again?
I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
Actually, I can't. I can speak for the other people I know, but I'll speak for myself. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I believe anybody, I don't believe there's anybody who's beyond help. I believe if the betraying partner says, yes, I want this relationship, and I'm going to stay inside that framework of continuing to show up to do that work, I believe they can learn. And I'm just going to tell you from my own personal experience. My husband came to me after a couple months early on when I started doing a lot of boundaries. And let me tell you, it was exhausting, but it was more exhausting not to speak my truth. He came back and he said, I just want to thank you for being so clear and so precise about your boundaries and telling me the behavior you wanted to see, the things you wanted to hear, because I never saw that growing up. I didn't know. I'm not a mind reader. And I couldn't believe he was actually thanking me profusely for using boundaries and speaking out about it. So I encourage women, again, to keep voicing it, because there's power and empowerment in just hearing yourself saying it. And like Steph said, be in a group, because for every one person over here who's maybe still early in recovery and still taking baby steps towards maturity and relational maturity, you need 7 voices over here to reinforce that you have worth, that yes, you have a right to speak your voice. No, you're not hurting anybody by saying, hey, when this thing happened, I felt. And so, doing that and being in a group of betrayal trauma informed, well-boundaried group is a game changer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Steph, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. Well, I have 2 different experiences, because I've been married twice. And my first husband, we had 4 little kids. It was just one of those situations where I couldn't just be done and pick up and leave. It just wasn't in a good time. And as I continued to get more help, be in groups, I had a really good coach that helped me find my voice. He continued and pulled away more, and he was the one who ended up leaving me, actually. It was really fascinating that the healthier I got and the more boundaried I became, he did not want to be around me.
Hmm.
And in my relationship now, very similar addictive patterns and behaviors. As I've regained my voice, refound my boundaries, found a new coach who was exactly what I needed. He continues to rise to the challenge. He continues to show me I'm willing to do this work, even though it's hard and it's scary and it's not perfect. And I see progress, and I continue to work with my group, hold on to my boundaries, learn how to continue to speak up for myself. And it's a process, and it's excruciating, but it's better than the alternative. I'm in a new place of, it doesn't make sense to separate or be in or pursue divorce. And so the progress that I'm seeing is sometimes big steps, but most of the time it's baby steps. And it's just the time that it's taken me to learn boundaries and to claim my voice and to deal with my childhood trauma and my childhood, my religious upbringing that didn't align with what I needed, and so many things, cultural stuff, right? There's just so much that I have had to detangle to become a person that could live with integrity to my values more consistently. That has taken time for me, and I'm willing to give my partner, who continues to show progress and rise to the challenge, that time as well. So,
wow,
that's nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What would you say to a betrayed partner who's wondering, have I given it enough time? These behaviors have continued. I've been in this for, and I don't even want to throw out an example of how long, because that's really not that important.
It could be 2 months. It could be 2 years. It could be 40 years. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
So how might you help a betrayed partner who's starting to wonder, is it time to go? This relational abuse is continuing, the deception, the gaslighting, the hiding, the invalidation. I don't know. How do you help someone start to think through that?
I can jump in here because when I got to a point in my first marriage where it seemed like I kept moving backwards. I wasn't progressing. I wasn't able to live the life that I wanted to live. So it really just came down to me. Like, am I living how I want to live? And is it possible? Does it look like in the realm of possibility? And there's no shame. Like, I feel no judgment for women day one are like, this isn't for me. I'm not gonna live in this relationship. Or, lots of time has passed. I mean, for me, it's been 4 years, and I could say tomorrow, I think I'm done. And it would have been enough time. And I just think getting in touch with you and your needs and your values and your voice, all those things is going to help you get to a place of peace and clarity of what you want. Because really, it's about what you want. It's not about what someone else thinks, because we know we would have done something different. Before I knew what my relationship reality was, I would have said, well, if I was in that situation, here's what I would have done. And guess what? I did something completely different. So Yeah, it's really about getting in touch with you and what you need. And sometimes that you need help with that. You need guidance with that.
Yeah. Pam, what would you add?
Oh, I would say the same thing that you just said, Steph, everything that you said. And there's no one answer. And people ask me that all the time. How long is how long? Well, everybody's red line in the sand is going to be different. I'm going to share here. I hope you don't mind, Steph. Steph wrote herself a letter and put a date on the calendar 6 months ahead or something like that. And you said, hey, dear Steph, if on this day, right? And the beautiful thing is maybe originally I think you thought that's the day I'm going to make the decision. But when you got to that day, you decided to do something different, but you were empowered because it was your decision.
Well, I did.
I think
I did do what my letter told me to, and we separated for a year.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. And I think we do need other people to help us untangle that Christmas light, right? Those Christmas lights. But here's what I would say too is I think if a woman doesn't leave, if there's the relational abuse is still happening and it's really hard for her to leave because of other reasons, because of finance or, health insurance or kids, or other investments that she has made, I don't think there's anything wrong with staying, but having really, really good expectations that are really low about this is not going to be my person, my soft person, safe place to go, that we're going to live under the same roof. I don't have a problem with that. I think a woman needs to do what's good and safe for her because there's the safety aspect too. Like if I end the relationship, that brings a whole host of other potential trauma or loss.
Right.
And I can see, some really smart women doing that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you both. Really good counsel there. All right. Here's my last question. Of course it's like a, 4-parter or something like that. No, I think it's actually only 2 parts. So, looking forward, let's end with giving our listeners some hope. If they can get to the other side of healing from a relational abuse, what do they have to look forward to? And I kind of want the 2 parts, what would we say to both the betrayed partner, but also the betraying partner? Like what's in it for each person on the other side of working through this?
Incredible growth and resilience. And I tell people all the time, if you would have told me this relationship is possible after everything that I've been through and some of the horrific betrayals and some of the relational stuff that we had been through, I'd say you've been watching too many Hallmark movies. that just doesn't happen in real life. And it's not what if somebody said, oh, you're going to have a Hallmark movie or you're going to have this ideal relationship, it's not what I picture that I have today. What I have today is a person that I can go to with any emotion, any pain, whether it's something that he did 30 years ago or 7 years ago or this morning. And he can stop everything and give me the spotlight, give me the microphone and say, okay, tell me. I feel this and this and this. And he will say, that makes so much sense. Of course you feel that way. Even if it's something that he did, he will listen. He will be there for me. There's no defensiveness. He has feelings. It's not like he's a robot. He has feelings, but he is my soft place to fall. I can go to him with anything and I've become the person that he can come to. And where I thought I was fixing and helping before, I wasn't, but I've learned how to do the same thing for him. I've learned how to listen. That was really hard. I'm a recovering interrupter. I've learned how to listen. And oh my goodness, when we both started not interrupting and listening to understand, not listening to respond, we learned so much more about each other. There was so much more depth to both of us.
Thank you,
And
Pam.
I know that no matter what happens in the world, pandemics or family illnesses, this person has got my back.
Wow. Thank you. Steph?
Yeah, I'm kind of in a different place, and I hope to get where Pam is someday. But I also, like, I believe you can create safety through boundaries, and you can get to a place of healing your nervous system, like I was talking about earlier. And I just lived in so much dysfunction for so long, and I dreaded getting out of bed in the morning because I just wanted a little bit more sleep, because I was always tired because my nervous system was always shut down. And I'm a morning person now. Like, what? My whole life. So beyond this relationship and my first marriage, I was always like exhausted and wanting to stay, like a night owl. I would stay up late and wake up late. And I thought, oh, how fun would it be to be one of those morning people that could get stuff done before 10 o'clock at night. And it like naturally happened. I wake up at 6 or 7 in the morning now. Like, who is this person? So I think whatever it is that is your struggle, because I know not everyone struggles with total exhaustion, even though that is a common symptom, but the work that you do for your relationship and yourself, it just expands into everything. I used to say addiction is like a black ooze, and it just seeps into every part of every nook and cranny of that person's life. And as I'm experiencing this post-traumatic healing and growth, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, I don't know, like a river of life that everything it touches, it creates these beautiful blossoms and green rolling hills. And it's just like, my relationship with my children is incredible. And my relationship with my parents looks so different, but so much more healthy. And I am on a path to having a partnership with my husband that I never imagined was possible. I thought the Beauty and the Beast scenario was the best thing I was going to get, right? I would love him into becoming more human. And it's just fascinating to take the time to do the internal work and be like, Pam has this picture of a bird in a tree, and the words, the caption to it is a bird on a branch. I'm going to botch it. Isn't afraid of the branch breaking because she has faith in her wings.
Oh, that's so good. That's a good one.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's just like, and my wings continue to get stronger as I take that initiative to learn about me, reclaim my voice, practice using my voice, and set boundaries and take time for me, go on trips by myself, just like things that I thought were not anything I even wanted. But now, because all I thought I wanted was to be a mom when I was a kid, because that's what was rewarded in my society, in my religion, in my community. I chose my career so that I could be a stay-at-home mom and do hair out of my home. And finding this authentic version of me through values work and claiming what I have a right to it's just been life-changing and incredible. And I wouldn't have found it without this hardship, probably. And it maybe didn't need to be this hardship. That would have been nice, but sorry, Steph, I keep rambling, but
no, it's good. It's good. What you're reminding me of is something that I think is so important. I say it to probably almost every set of clients that sit in front of me, every couple that sits in front of me, that I hear you, Steph, talking about all of these intrapersonal, like inside of you, these changes, this growth, this transformation. And the reality is that as humans, our individual growth and development happens in relational context. Mm-hmm. And what, it's that, like, the fact that you have been facing these difficult dynamics, the challenges in your relationship, your willingness, your choice, beyond willingness, your choice to engage them, to, not retreat, but like take them on. That is, that's paying dividends, not just for the sake of the relationship, but for you, regardless of what happens in the relationship. I hope it's great. I hope it flourishes and thrives. But even if it doesn't, you are getting these gifts that you just named for us. It's really wonderful, really beautiful. Well, thank you both for being here. Thank you both for this conversation. Just appreciate you all, both of you. Any parting words of wisdom or hope or counsel for our listeners? Pam?
Boundaries. Boundaries for yourself, right? Have boundaries for yourself around this stuff that you just talked about being willing to dive in and do the work. And I mean, I just decided one day that I wasn't going to let the whole situation defeat me. When you make that decision that you're going to rise above it, you will just take action one step at a time. I have faith in you all on both sides of the equation. I have hope for all three of you, the betrayer, the betrayed, and the relationship. And to borrow from another program, it works when you work it.
There you go. Thank you. Steph, parting words?
Compassion, self-compassion has changed my life and my journey. And if you can't find it in yourself, find it in a group. If you can't validate yourself, find that validation in a group, especially if your partner isn't in that safe space where they can offer that to you.
Good word. Well, I just want to say, aren't these ladies amazing? Aren't you wonderful? Thank you. Really, I am so grateful for y'all being a part of this episode. Have to do that little silly thing there, but no, really, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of Betrayal Recovery Radio. Thank you for the work that y'all do. All right, we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Betrayal Recovery Radio, hosted by Dr. Jake Porter. If you value the content we've shared today, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review. This helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. For more resources, visit apsats.org. That's APSATS.org.